Hello, Ashley Pierce here, about to go over my assignment. Let's share this so you can see. There we are. Okay, so the first thing I picked here was Angel Falls. I thought that was really neat. It's in Venezuela, and it is the tallest waterfall in the world. Would be awesome to get to visit that someday. Here are my charts. I thought that the Zoom app was cool because it's interesting to see all the different levels, from like the super microscopic level all the way to the huge universe level. It's really crazy to think that you're moving more than 7.5 million miles per hour just standing. That's not something I ever think about very often. Measurements are interesting because you can add more levels to them. For example, if you're driving a car or driving in a car at 55 miles per hour is one thing, but then you add the speeds of the Earth and its orbit makes it even larger, and that's pretty mind-blowing. Scientific notion is a way to write large numbers in less space. E plus and E minus stand for engineering notion. It's a way to write large numbers in even less space. Go on down here. So these right here represent how you can misinterpret data. The first thing that kind of stands out to me would be that those are not starting at 0, because you see the difference here, but then when you put them together, they're really right at the same amount. It's pretty easy to misinterpret that. I'm sure that happens a lot. So if we come on down here, here's the rest of the pie charts that are showing the funding. There's the Katera. There's that one. So being able to display data to your own liking is an attractive feature when you're using charts in the business world. The most common example of misleading graphs is not starting that axis at 0, like I alluded to earlier. By doing this, you bring the scale to a much smaller range, and it helps broaden variances. It can be pretty dishonest, and people are going to get the wrong perception when they see that. So changing the Katera graph to a real pie graph showed the original was manipulated to show Katera in a much better light, as you can see there. I measured the graph by measuring the area displayed and using the Excel formula that entered pi to see in real numbers the area that displayed was misleading. Data reporting done in graphs can be both a good and a bad thing. I know a lot of businesses and companies use them to display their financials and their numbers to everyone. So it can be obviously a very positive thing, but people can also be misled in a negative light if they aren't careful and don't really see all the data and all the information. All right, so then we're at number 3, the obesity and diabetes. There's that chart. Scroll over here so you can see all that. The diverse American population consists of 326 plus million people. And there's a growing number of people that are having high blood pressure, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. The Venn diagrams here are using numbers for each type, but there's also numbers for people who are affected by combinations, because obviously they can affect one another. So this is showing, right here how they can kind of overlap. Unfortunately, sometimes if you have one, you've got the other. The diagram shows us the risk for other ailments increased dramatically in upwards of 25%. Also, if you live in Arkansas, unfortunately, the chances are much higher than other states such as Colorado because the obesity rate is unfortunately pretty high in Arkansas. So then here we are at number 4, the heights of Army recruits and then the heights of the random mall shoppers in inches. Can pretty much draw to a conclusion there that, random mall people are going to be of all heights, all ages, all sorts of demographics, while your Army recruits are probably going to be all about the same as it shows here on the chart. They're probably going to mostly be men, mostly be of the same height, and that's shown here with the everything. So the scatter plot, the closer the data points to the trend line, the less variation you're going to see in the range of numbers. The box is going to be much larger for wider variations. So like we said, the Army recruits are probably all of similar physical stature, and they're probably all of the same gender, like we said. For the shoppers, it's much more varied. You're going to have a whole mix of all sorts of people shopping. So then here we are at number 5 with sleep patterns. I found this to be the most interesting. As the standard deviation changes in the sleep pattern chart, the bell curve will change. The larger the deviation, the wider the curve, as you can see there. The shorter the deviation, the narrower the curve. As the bell curve formula dictates, you'll have a 34.1 chance of falling in the standard deviation. So, unfortunately, my average nightly sleep number is just over 6 hours, as you'll see right there. I fall within the standard deviation. My z-score is a negative because it is to the left of the mean on this study of 217 students. The average American income chart cannot be normally distributed because it has several extreme outliers. A large portion of the population makes less than the median income, with a small portion making more than the median. This makes calculating the mean pretty difficult. So here we go. Back up and show you that. Median income. All right. And then here we are at number 6. Flamethrower profit. Show you all that. First data entry and y-intercept of the graph represent how much the initial investment was. You don't have a real profit until you have made more money than the original investment. In this case, the original investment was around $90,000. The bottom number on the table is 5 million, but our graph only shows up to 90K because of the relevant data we're trying to only show in this exercise. Our graph shows the break-even point is when the sales match the initial investment. That was around 90K. And the number of flamethrower sales to get to that is 203. Starting a business is a huge undertaking. Your initial investment goes towards all sorts of things and can depend on the type of business you're in. But overhead, benefits, salary, marketing, payroll can be part of your startup costs, and several factors go into how long it will take to turn a profit. Additionally, depending on your industry, outside forces can obviously affect your timeline and your profitability. The up and down nature of these factors definitely can make it difficult to succeed. The first business that comes to mind that would be really hard to do that would be a restaurant. I know so many restaurants fail pretty quickly because they're very hard to sustain. All right. I think that is it. With that, thank you very much.